I'm on top, this ain't even my peak. And everything they said was out of my reach. It's getting so close now, did it all for the hometown. It's time all year, we ain't set the tone now. Top, this ain't even my peak. And everything they said was out of my reach.
I know I've been pretty hard on the WWE so far this year, but how can you possibly hate them for that? That was probably one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen, how they handled that Chicago crowd and basically straight up called the fans bluff and had the fans outsmart themselves. If you ask me, I'm just happy to be surprised. CM Punk didn't show up on Raw. Well, we don't even know if that's the WWE's fault yet. For all we know, CM Punk still wants nothing to do with them and he has no plans to return. So what the hell else did you expect the WWE to do? Especially, apparently, when you've got several thousand fans organizing a group on Twitter called Hijack Raw, where they plan to do nothing but just chant CM Punk throughout every single segment. And they announced this a couple of weeks ahead of time. It makes the news sites, the WWE gets wind of it, and they book Raw in a way that the fans can't hijack shit. Did you see that first hour? That was jam fucking packed. I had a feeling they were going to do that. They have to start the show off hot in order to get the fans going and get the emotion going. And they basically said to themselves, we cannot ignore that we are in Chicago, in CM Punk's hometown. These fans are going to chant CM Punk throughout the show. If we start off the show by making them think he's going to return later on in the show, that will make fans cooperate throughout the duration of the show because they think they're going to be happy at the end. And I started getting a little bit suspicious when so many good things started happening right off the bat. You had Paul Heyman come out there to CM Punk's music. They also acknowledged CM Punk on the pre-show. So you start thinking, well, they must have worked something out. They have not mentioned his name since he left. Now they're starting to talk about him again. News got leaked a few days ago that he's all but certain for Monday Night Raw. Everybody out there, including myself, figured we just had to see him tonight. And the fact that they played CM Punk's music and had Paul Heyman come out there to open the show and talk about him, I think was almost proof that CM Punk is probably going to come back. So if he is, why the hell did he not come back on this Monday's Raw? We don't know the answer to that, at least not yet. Raw ended 5 fucking minutes ago. Maybe tomorrow, the next day, later on this week, we'll hear more backstage news on what the fuck is actually going on in this situation. And I thought it was pretty brilliant strategy on their part, if they didn't plan on bringing CM Punk back later on in the show, that you give fans a whole bunch of great shit throughout the show, build them up, give them everything in the world they could possibly want, and then at the end, break their fucking hearts. And that's what I love the most about the show, because Paul Heyman came out there and cut a really great promo to open up Raw, talking about CM Punk, which basically just segued into a current WWE storyline, and got Paul Heyman talking about Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. Even Brock Lesnar gets on the mic and he cuts a pretty good promo on The Undertaker, and then out comes Mark Henry. Mark Henry, what the fuck are you doing? I think the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Hasn't Mark Henry come out and challenged Brock Lesnar about 3 times now, and each time he's gotten the fucking shit kicked out of him? But poor Mark just gets pummeled again. I even think he took an F5 on the table, so right off the bat, we're off to a really hot promo and a really hot brawl to start the show. And apparently one of the TV monitors that Brock Lesnar threw into the crowd actually hit somebody. So fucking what? Suck it up. Now when somebody asks you, hey, how did you get that gash in your head? You can say, Brock Lesnar hit me with a TV monitor. That's pretty fucking cool. And right after this, the next match up is the Usos tag team title shot that they're finally getting against the New Age Outlaws. And I called it right from the beginning. They're going to win the titles on this show. A lot of fans apparently, from what I heard, that were pissed off that they didn't wait until WrestleMania to win the titles. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it would be bad if the Usos won the titles at WrestleMania, but what they did on Raw, winning the titles on Raw in that atmosphere, in that building tonight, I thought was great, made for a great moment. I'm so happy for the Usos. I absolutely love that family. They're my favorite tag team in the WWE, and I was thrilled to finally see them get their moment. And who's to say they can't work Mania? They can defend the belts at Mania, right? What if they just have a kick-ass tag match on Mania for the belts? What's wrong with that? Nothing. After that, I think we had an Antonio Cesaro match, and it's hard for the fans to boo or shit on that guy, so the WWE felt they would be safe with that, and then after his match, they go right into the Wyatts versus the Shield. This is all in the first hour. The Shield is this close to breaking up. So is Jack Swagger and Antonio Cesaro, who had the tease in Cesaro's match, and then Jack Swagger comes out later in the show to wrestle the same opponent, only for them to tease more dissension. So the Real Americans and the Shield are fucking a hair away from breaking up. So this time it was Seth Rollins is the one that walked away from the group and he stood on the ramp and watched Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose get beat by the Wyatts. After that, things finally cooled down a little bit. We did have the Daniel Bryan confrontation that started around the second hour. I was thinking they were going to have this match with Batista right there, but he came out on Raw and basically said he was going to hijack Raw. They're basically playing off the fact that they know what the fans are up to. The fans, of course, are eating out of the palm of his hand. Yes, 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 the crowd is going fucking apeshit. You know what? The WWE created such an amazing atmosphere tonight. It doesn't matter how you get the emotion, as long as you get the emotion. I mean, if you're tuning into Raw and watching the show for the first time, or you're channel surfing, to me it does not look like I'm watching a crowd that is pissed off with the WWE product. To me, it looks like I'm watching a crowd that is having an amazing time. There was so much energy and so much emotion and so much electricity in that crowd tonight. It made for one of the best Raw atmospheres I can ever remember, and I promise you, everybody backstage in the WWE had giant fucking grins on their faces because management loved what they were seeing. That's the type of emotion we want to see on Monday Night Raw crowds. That's the way it was during the Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars, when everything was so tense and high drama. You know, this was just an emotionally charged Raw and one of the best fan atmospheres I can ever remember seeing on TV, and it was a complete fucking success. Triple H and Stephanie have their confrontation with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is trying to challenge Triple H at WrestleMania. Stephanie keeps on cutting in. Triple H insists that he will not wrestle Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30 because he's a B-plus star. Triple H is too big for him and it's never going to happen and he can fucking forget it. And then he and Stephanie order security to remove Daniel Bryan from the premises, even though he's got to come back for a match against Batista later on in the night. In between here, I think we also saw Dolph Ziggler beat Alberto Del Rio, so the WWE keeps on teasing the audience by giving him another wrestler that they like and giving him a victory. So that keeps him happy. John Cena also hobbles out to the ring to confront the Wyatt family, so you had that whole angle, but the fans didn't even seem that much on John's case. They had other things on their mind. And then we move on to the main event, which ran really long. Daniel Bryan versus Batista. This could possibly be an Extreme Rules main event if Batista wins the title and Daniel Bryan gets a shot later on. This is probably not going to be the last time these guys hook up, and it really gets your mind racing as to what the hell they're going to do for WrestleMania, because if you look at it, they're keeping Daniel Bryan in the mix. Forget all of the CM Punk shit for a second. Let's pretend Raw was not even in Chicago. Let's pretend CM Punk was never rumored to come back. This would have been looked at as a great Raw to all fans. I think people are all pissed off and blaming the WWE for CM Punk not wanting to come back or whatever the story is. It might not even be their fucking fault. If you follow the current storylines that are going on, this was actually a great Raw and it was a great way to further things. And for all of the people that love Daniel Bryan and want him in the main event at WrestleMania 30, the WWE is still making you think that can happen. Because now Daniel Bryan's in the ring with Batista. He's also having to combat Randy Orton, who jumps in the ring, Triple H, Kane, all of them. They're all against Daniel Bryan. They beat him the fuck down. Triple H took a couple of good shots from Daniel Bryan, enraging him, causing him to get involved in this brawl as well. It was basically like 5-on-1. The whole entire crowd is chanting CM Punk to make the save. No CM Punk, it doesn't happen. The Authority stands over a beaten and battered and unconscious Daniel Bryan, and the show goes off the fucking air. Yeah, Daniel Bryan was beaten down and buried again by Triple H and his shovel. Well, what the fuck? They're building the storyline. Daniel Bryan is gonna wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania 30 most likely. They're gonna have some segments and some interactions between the two, and we're only at the beginning. This will probably lead to Triple H eventually accepting the challenge, and then the two of them can build, the last few weeks before WrestleMania, and then all of the possibilities of, Daniel Bryan doing double duty at WrestleMania. If he beats Triple H, he gets inserted into the main event. We can discuss all that in the upcoming weeks. I have absolutely no idea what the WWE is going to do, and I'm not even completely sure if the WWE knows what they're going to do. Maybe if Daniel Bryan is inserted into the main event at WrestleMania 30, we don't even find out until WrestleMania 30. Wouldn't that be a nice change? I've always said that WrestleMania is not really used for big-time swerves or surprises anymore because it's really not needed. Fans are there to see the spectacle of the WWE and these big matches that have been promoted and built up for weeks on TV, and nothing ever surprising happens anymore in today's modern age. So if they don't announce anything about Daniel Bryan joining the main event for all these Raws before WrestleMania, and then they do it at the last minute on the show, oh, could you imagine, people who don't watch WrestleMania clicking on, WWE.com after the show was over to find out what happened, and they see Daniel Bryan, celebrating at the end of the night with the WWE title, they're going to shit their pants. And then there's also the argument that I get from a lot of people, well, fuck you, good mic work. They're not going to do that. It's going to be heel Batista versus heel Randy Orton. The WWE doesn't give a shit about the fans, and that's what they're going to do because that's what they want to do, and it doesn't matter what the fans think. I disagree with you. I was all for believing that the WWE was going to say fuck you to everybody and go with Batista versus Randy Orton, but I don't believe, even in today's day and age of the WWE not listening to the fans, I don't see how it's feasibly possible for that company to do a heel versus heel main event. It does not add up, and it would not be best for business. I think people are too quick to hate on the WWE, and they're too negative, and they always assume the worst, and they don't even use their fucking heads for a second, that even though the WWE does screw over the fans from time to time, I don't think that they could have this main event. It doesn't make sense. I think once Batista turned heel, that forced them to change everything, and I still have a lot of optimism for the WrestleMania 30 main event. I haven't given up hope yet. And for people that want to argue back at me and say I'm crazy and the WWE is going to fuck us over anyway, well, guess what? I guess we just won't know for a couple of weeks. So save your breath and let's just wait and see what fucking happens. So there you go. I mean, that's basically my initial reaction of the March 3rd Chicago Monday Night Raw. Those are about as fresh as opinions as you'll ever get out of me. The show just ended. I have no idea what we're going to read in upcoming hours about the show, any more late-breaking news regarding CM Punk. Maybe some stories will come out why he wasn't on the show, and we'll learn more later in the next few days. And I don't even know what to believe. My instinct tells me CM Punk will be back, but the problem I'm having is that if CM Punk was going to be back, why wait? This was the Raw to bring him back in Chicago, unless they plan on turning him heel. That I could completely see. CM Punk might even have to come back as a heel. And with Paul Heyman opening up the show and talking about him and Brock Lesnar coming out, you almost have to wonder if CM Punk's going to form an alliance and they turn this whole thing into a storyline. WWE's been screwing me over, fucking me over. I'm going to join up with some guys that aren't going to let the WWE screw or fuck them over, and that's Brock Lesnar, and, reunite with Paul Heyman. Or maybe he could come out and screw over Daniel Bryan in some way. I almost thought that's what we were going to see tonight. I thought Daniel Bryan was going to have Batista beat, and CM Punk might come out and screw Daniel Bryan and turn heel. But my instinct tells me that CM Punk might be back. There's pictures of it on WWE.com. There's video of Paul Heyman coming out to CM Punk's music on WWE's YouTube page. They are not hiding this CM Punk shit anymore. And I think if CM Punk wasn't going to come back, I think they would continue, ignoring him like they were. I think at the very least, CM Punk had to have met with WWE people while they're there. So my thought is maybe he was there earlier in the day and maybe he, talked with Vince again and, things just didn't get worked out and he's not coming back. Or he's agreed to come back later and miss WrestleMania, take some more time off, give everybody else the spotlight, step aside since he was the one that walked out in the first place, and then come back after the fact. Maybe come back on that great day after WrestleMania Raw that is always so hot and we always usually get a big surprise on. That could be, a good place for it to happen. So I'm just a little confused. My instinct tells me that he's going to be back at some point, but at the same time, they didn't use him tonight, with this great atmosphere, with this great crowd in his hometown that would have fucking shit their pants, when they saw him, and probably would have created the best Raw moment of the year. They opted not to do that, so it makes me a little suspicious of what the fuck's going on. And you know what? I like not knowing, because I want to be surprised. That's all I want. One of the biggest reasons why I liked Raw so much tonight is that I was surprised. I was expecting to see CM Punk, and at the end of the night when we didn't see him, even though I was a little disappointed that we didn't see him, I love the fact that the WWE and the Authority basically screwed over Daniel Bryan and the fans. They won this battle. The fans challenged the WWE, and the WWE put them in their place. And before all you WWE haters start going crazy in the comments and start disliking this video, listen to my previous commentaries. I am completely capable of ripping the WWE a new asshole, and fuck knows they sure have deserved it a lot this year. But I'm also logical and reasonable, and in this situation with what the WWE gave us on this Monday Night Raw in Chicago, I thought it was brilliantly done, and I was more than satisfied with the excitement level, with the energy, with the atmosphere that we saw on Raw. It was great, and I was highly entertained for almost the entire 3 hours. That does not happen very often in today's day and age of Monday Night Raw for me. So if you're shitting on this show, you're just a hater who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because if you pay attention to the storyline, Daniel Bryan ain't dead yet. Most likely, we will get some big news on this situation later on this week, so I will probably be up with another short commentary in a couple of days. Until then, peace.